My name is Phoebe, and this is a brief story of my miscarriage and some of the things I've learnt through the experience. This is me a few years ago, a fit and healthy 27-year-old. This is my ex-partner, and we were together at the time and had been for about 2 or 3 years at that point. However, the relationship was failing. I was constantly angry that I wasn't getting loved, or my opinion of what love is, the way that I thought I should be by him, and I was feeling pretty justified about being so mad and demanding. I was basically living in a desperate need to control everything in my environment, including my partner's feelings, to avoid how afraid I was of how it might feel if we were to break up, which was looking more and more inevitable. So to share some history. As many women do, I come from a line of women before me who were, for the most part, homemakers. Traditional roles are very much in play, with the women in charge of raising the children and being a supportive wife. Inside of my soul, I could feel, and I still do feel, some very strong false beliefs about what it means to be a woman that have been passed down through generations, emotionally, behaviourally, and verbally. A good woman knows how to raise children and be a good wife. A successful woman has created a home for a family, and a valuable woman is a mother. Despite my rebellion against these beliefs and my attempts to be independent and worldly and progressive and pretend that I didn't really feel this way, deep down I felt like without those things I was a failure as a woman. And now here I was, 27 years old, headed full speed for the doomed status of alone. No longer worldly or cool, just pretty desperate and needy and mad. So it was within this emotional environment that I got a positive pregnancy test. I quickly decided that this was going to be exactly what I needed in my life. I could feel my partner didn't really share my enthusiasm, but that didn't matter to me. I wanted this baby. This baby had the potential to change everything for us. We could start fresh, find a new place to live, build a life together. I would finally feel like I had a role to play, like I had somewhere to fit in within our family structures. Like I had something to give and a place to fill in the world. I wouldn't be a no one anymore. I'd be a someone. I'd be a mother. I knew I was pregnant for 10 days. This precious baby was as yet no bigger than an apple seed. In that short time, I had intellectually recreated myself. My heart was not mended. I'd just pulled a rug over the smelly pile of pain inside of it and given myself yet another reason not to go there. The problem with avoiding my pain like this is that I was demanding that my environment take it away from me, make me feel good where really I don't. As much as I felt like I loved and I wanted this child, their sensitive soul was in my firing range, and these demands were directed straight at it, whether I was aware of it or not. This baby had a job to do, a role to play, and therein lay the problem. I don't know if I can accurately describe in words how it felt to realise I was having a miscarriage, and then tread water through the following minutes, hours, days, and weeks. There was a jumble of true grief and deep sadness, but this was also confused with the intense pain of having my fantasy dream life ripped away from me. Having a child had quickly become an addiction to help me avoid my fear, and in the gulf that followed this child's death, I had no other addictions. No substitutions that I could turn to that were powerful enough to adequately numb this fear and pain that was rising to the surface. Interestingly, I discovered that the fears that came up so intensely for me during the miscarriage were pretty much the same fears I was trying so hard to suppress my whole life. I was afraid to feel how much of a complete and utter failure I felt as a woman, and how unloved I felt. The miscarriage didn't create these feelings, it just shone a spotlight on what was already there and had been inside me for a really long time, creating all sorts of problems in my life. I don't believe that miscarriage is random. Through what I've heard about the soul and through my own experience, miscarriage occurs as a result of the emotional environment in which a new and highly sensitive soul finds itself after conception. This is pretty confronting to recognise. But it's not about self-blame or self-punishment. Trust me, these things get you nowhere. It's about being able to consciously take responsibility for why these pregnancies fail and babies die, and change that so that doesn't happen again. In our case, I believe that my partner and my child passed as a direct result of the demands I placed on it to fix me, to fix my life, and from the fear-based environment that both my partner had created and proceeded to project onto the child, unintentionally. The decision that I made, which caused my child to pass into the spirit world at the tender age of 4 or 5 weeks old, was to not feel my past emotional pain and release it, and instead continue to demand that others make it go away for me. I'm not saying that the emotional cause will be the same for everyone. I imagine it will vary depending on different people's life experiences and the unresolved issues we each carry. I've been taught that real, long-lasting healing comes through personally experiencing all of our emotions in a sincere way. I still have a heap of grief to feel around this issue, and I still haven't really fully grieved the loss of this child. It feels so closely linked to my feelings of worth and value as a woman and person, and how unlovable I've felt deep down. And these, seem to be tough things to address. I still spend most of my time acting in ways which help to keep me away from these feelings, even though I've had enough experiences to know that feeling and releasing my pain in a cathartic way always leads to more happiness, clarity, and often insight. I've slowly opened to the idea of asking God and allowing God to help me through this healing process. When I have, it's been very emotional, as God seems to want to help me release the pain. I've also discovered that God wants to share with me more truth about the miscarriage. I discovered that the same beliefs and feelings that caused the miscarriage also have a huge effect on other areas of my life and my struggle to be in a loving relationship. I discovered that my child is not dead and gone, but still alive in the spirit world and was cared for by a special nurse after her passing. And I also discovered that I can actually still have a relationship with her if I desire to. I also discovered that God doesn't judge me for what happened, but wants to help me and feels compassionate towards me. Similarly, I would never judge anyone who has had a miscarriage, as I've been there, and I'm not through it. I only want to help people see that we can take personal responsibility and change. This information has helped me so much, and I want to share what I've learnt.